welcome our blood viewers to Artist News English Edition. As usual, we bring to you the major and top highlights of tonight. Let's follow. The head of state chairs the work of the seventh meeting of the Council of Ministers. And on the international scene, the Turkish elections, Erdogan supported by a far-right candidate, Sinsan Ogan. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. Under the chairmanship of the President of the Republic, Head of Government, Mr. Ismail Umar Agile, the Council of Ministers held today, Tuesday, corresponding to the 23rd of May 2023, in the Presidential Palace, its seventh session.
Initiative 50 SMA students from La Nativité School, accompanied by their teacher and educational staff, had the privilege of visiting the National Assembly at the invitation of the President, His Excellency Dileita Mohammed Dileita. These special opportunities allow the students to immerse themselves in the activities, role, and importance of the legislator for one morning, with the logistical support and technical expertise of the General Secretary of the Djiboutian Parliamentary Institutions. These young men explored the corridors of the National Assembly, enjoying the hospitality of the Speaker, Dileita Mohammed Dileita. He was accompanied by his colleague Saleban Daher Bile, Secretary of the Bureau of the National Assembly, as well as the valuable assistance of the General Secretary headed by His Excellency Ismail Gulal Boudin. Throughout the visit, the students
Pardon us, our beloved viewers. Draft order on the rules of procedure of the Dispute Resolution Committee. The draft order sets out the operating procedures for the reflare investigation and deliberation of the Dispute Settlement Committee. The Dispute Settlement Committee is a non-judicial body whose role is to deal with complaints relating to irregularities in the public procurement process in accordance with the fundamental principles of economy and efficiency, freedom of access to public procurement, equal treatment of candidates, and transparency in all stages of the procurement process. This body is composed of 6 personalities from different institutions. This text aims at specifying the function of the said committee, in particular the opportunities, limits, and deadline for the referral to the committee. The draft regularly aims to reinforce transparency and increase the efficiency of the public procurement. The adoption of this draft degree completes the regulatory framework of public procurement with the adoption of several texts concerning ineligibility for public procurement, the appointment of the members of the Dispute Settlement Committee, and the modification of the format of the general certificate, and the creation of a public portal which constitutes the first steps towards the dematerialization of public procurement. It is a part of a straining of the regulatory framework and further improves the governance of the public framework. Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training draft law on the adoption of the Master Plan for Education and Training 2021-2035. This bill establishes the Master Plan for Education and Training 2021 to 2035. The Master Plan for Education and Training is a strategic plan document that sets the main orientations and priorities for the next 15 years in the education sector. The SDEF is accompanied by the following steering and implementation tools: Education and Training Action Plan of 2021-2025 and other plans. This strategic sectoral planning document was developed using a participatory approach in which all education sector stakeholders were consulted and involved in both the preparation and design phases of the plan. It is in line with the strategic orientations defined in the National Development Plan for the education sector for the development of human capital in our country. Indeed, the most important challenges in education are the consolidation of access and, above all, the challenge of achieving an inclusive school of quality. The MENFAB must declare in June 2025 zero children outside elementary school. The strategy for the progressive integration of children with special needs is clearly defined in the plan. The work in exciting and educational initiative, 50 CMH1 students from the Nativité School, accompanied by their teachers and educational staff, had the privilege of visiting the National Assembly at the invitation of the President, His Excellency Mr. Dileita Mohammed Dileita. As we can see the footages of the visit that took place, the kids were very happy to meet the President of the National Assembly, and they enjoyed their visit there, as the President was, of course, showing them all the previous presidents of the National Assembly. Here we can see that the kids were entered the hemicycle, and of course the President of the National Assembly is showing this kid who is appointing him President, of course, and showing them how things work. As we can see the children clapping. They really seem to enjoy this visit. As we can see them acting as GBTs, as the little kid was acting as a president, of course, learning his ways and what to say and what not to say. As for this little DBT here talking. And then they went to the commission room, where they showed how meetings are being held in the room. Discussions with themselves via a video conference. And then the visit was concluded by the traditional family photo. The Djibourian delegation headed by the Ministry of Finance and Economy, Mr. Ilyas Moussa Dawali, is in Egypt to take part in the 49th annual meeting of the African Development Fund and the 58th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the African Development Bank Group, currently taking place in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. This 2023 edition of the AFDB annual meeting focuses on mobilizing private sector finance for climate and green growth in Africa. This team provides an opportunity to discuss the challenges Africa faces in attracting private sector financing for low carbon investment. It will also provide an opportunity to discuss practical policies that governments can implement to remove these bottlenecks. A presidential dialogue on the evolution of the global financial architecture in relation to climate is planned. This meeting will also see the launch of the African Economic Outlook 2023. The experts have ways to leverage innovative financing instruments to attract private climate investment in Africa. The resemblance will discuss ways to ensure greater flexibility in the face of climate change in the achievement of an equitable energy transition while helping countries on the continent to meet their global commitments and best adapt to these changes. For the Republic of Djibouti, the ministerial delegation was led by the Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Mr. Ilyas Moussa Dawale, accompanied by Mr. Ali Mohamed Gadili, Director of External Financing, and Mr. Awad Ahmed Awad, Director of the Guarantee Fund of Djibouti. The work of the Commission of Youth and Sports of the Indian Ocean, CJSOI, whose kickoff was given yesterday by the Ministry of Youth and Culture, continued today. Recall that this meeting of experts of the Commission on Youth and Sports of the Indian Ocean is held in Djibouti from May 22nd to 24th. The CJSOI is an intergovernmental commission created in 1988, which aims to promote friendship and fraternity between the youth of member countries and to foster the development of regional cooperation through the promotion of sports and youth. The meeting of the experts of the Commission, which will last 3 days, will focus on exchange and discussions on the organization and programming of the 13th edition to be held in 2025 in Seychelles. The provisional budget for 2020-2024 was also on the menu of discussions of the meeting. The meeting of experts has seen the participation of many delegations such as the Union of Comoros, Madagascar, Mayotte, Mauritius, Reunion, Seychelles, and of Djibouti, of course. The Djibouti Handball Federation closed its national championships, men and women, with success last night at the King Fahd Sports Complex. The final matches were very interesting and aroused great enthusiasm among the spectators. The first final was between two women's teams, the team of the Gendarmerie and that of Ras Dira. Without surprise, the team of the Gendarmerie won the title by crushing its opponent 15-11. The audience was on fire as they admired the performance of these sportswomen who have shown great efficiency. The second final was between the men's team of Coast Guard and Transit Dita. It was a tough match, but in the end, the Transit team won the title by 1 goal margin. The players had to work hard to get the win, which made the game very exciting to watch. After these great performances, the trophy and award ceremony took place. The players were rewarded for their hard work and prevalence through the competition. This closing of the National Championships of Handball was in the presence of the Secretary of State in charge of sports, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamil, the presidents of the municipalities of Ras Dika and Bel'os, Colonel of the Gendarmerie Jama' Roble, Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed Adawa Mohammed, officials of the Djiboutian Handball Federation, and other several guests. The public left enchanted and satisfied with the quality of the proposed matches. This competition showed the importance of supporting national sports teams and encouraging them to develop their potential. The Secretary of State in charge of sports made a point of congratulating all the players for their exceptional performance. He also stressed the importance of organizing such events to promote sports in the country. The stadium El Haj Hassan Guled hosted in the evening of May 22nd, 2023, the ceremony closing the championship of Second National Division. The match that preceded this ceremony saw the confrontation between the team of the CDC, Section 7 Napoleon, against the team of the Coast Guard Al Gamil and ended with a draw of 2-2. The team of Coast Guard Al Gamil had already secured its first place at the top of this championship and will join the elite of the national soccer in Division 1 next season. This Tuesday, May 23rd, was held the signing ceremony of the annual work plan between the National Agency for Persons with Disabilities, AMPH, and the United Nations System in Djibouti, represented respectively by Mr. Douali Saeed Mahmoud, Director of MPH, and Mr. Jose Barahona, Resident Coordinator of the United Nations System in Djibouti. The annual work plan, entitled Support to Persons, with covering the period from January to December 2023, amounts to 244,733,000 and is aligned within the National Strategy on Disability and the priorities of the National Development Plan Djibouti EC, as well as several outcomes of the United Nations Development Assistance Framework. This annual work plan includes several priorities of the 2021-2025 budgeted action plan, mainly in the areas of strengthening governments on the issues of disability, providing quality care for young people, especially children and adolescents, and improving access to employment for improving a living. The signing ceremony validates a long working process during which numerous bilateral meetings were held between the AMPH and UN agencies, namely the International Organization for Migration and the United Nations Children's Fund. The Director General of the Administration, Saleh Alwan Ise, Acting Secretary General of MEMFOP, sponsored the opening ceremony of a training workshop on capacity building for teachers of Arabic, which was held today at the Training Center of Teachers of Basic Education, Umar Ghali Ahmed. The objective of this training is to strengthen the use of ICT and digital resources in the teaching of Arabic. This training session, organized by MEMFOB in collaboration with the Islamic World Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, will last 4 days and will benefit more than 50 teachers of Arabic language in basic education. This training will allow participants to strengthen their knowledge and skills in areas as varied as digital tools and applications that contribute to the strengthening of their teaching capacities. A point of view shared by the expert trainer, Dr. Anas Saeed, who emphasized the commitment in this policy of digital capacity building in Arab Muslim countries, and especially for a public of non-speakers of the Arabic language, of course. Within the framework of the news reports, we have prepared for you a report that sheds light on the social housing of the Ismail Umar Ghali Foundation for Social Housing. Let's watch.
The struggle for decent housing in favor of the most vulnerable is intensifying. After the capital and major cities, efforts have recently been made to address the issue of inadequate housing in small towns and villages like here in Holhol. The housing access policy has gained momentum with the establishment of the Ismail Margeli Foundation, dedicated to this right 6 years ago. Since 2017, hundreds of social housing units have been built by this foundation, whose contribution to the government projects of a similar nature remains very significant, particularly in support of the most vulnerable social groups. The Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity is actively involved in this important initiative by participating in the selection of the deserving families based on the social registry for this project belonging to the foundation. More than just a contribution, social action is at the core of the activities of this department, which through this mobilization for social housing also seeks to alleviate the vulnerability of the socially disadvantaged, sparing them an additional and increasingly burdensome cost of ownership. Thus, in Holhol, 30 families will have a roof over their heads thanks to this achievement. While filming these scenes, we came across Yusuf Ahmed, who works on the site and is one of the future happy occupants. He decides to take us to his current house, which will now be part of the past. As a father of 10 children, he has been occupying this makeshift housing for over 20 years. Between meeting the basic needs of his large family and building a house, the choice was obvious for him. He continued here by taking on small jobs as a daily laborer. Recently, he was the construction site guard of the just completed social housing. For Yusuf Ahmed and his family, benefiting from their new home is a breath of fresh air, as this support removes a huge burden from them both financially and psychologically. He said, "Before becoming the guard of the construction site, I did manual labor. I carried loads, worked in shops, and engaged in any other activities whether I was called upon. That's how I raised my children," he continued. "You can see how I live. I was very happy to learn that I was selected for the house," he concluded. As for Maryam Abdullahi, she said that only God knows the conditions in which they lived. "We don't even have a latrine," she said. "The children use our neighbors. It's very difficult during the rainy season. If today we are allowed to change our lives, we can only be grateful to God and the President," she said. Yusuf Ahmed, his family, and all the other beneficiaries share one thing in common: living in extreme poverty. These expendable F1 to F3 type houses represent a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Through this unexpected gesture, the Foundation for Housing once again fulfills the dream of a better life for all the selected families and significantly reduces one of the most significant burdens to live decently.
Still within the framework of the activities of the Festival of Unity that will take place in Dakhil until May 26th, second day continued this morning in the Regional Council in concert the youth from different neighborhoods of the Chief Palace and sub-localities of the region. It was under the chairmanship of the Prefect of Dakhil, Mr. Adan Darar Musa, and the President of the Regional Council, Dr. Mr. Mahad Hussein Ahmed, in the presence of the Vice President of the Regional Council, Mr. Ibrahim Guru Abdullah, of the Deputy Prefect, Mr. Idris Hussein Abdullah, and of the President of the Regional Council, Mr. Mahad Hussein Ahmed. Idris Hussein Abbas, the Secretary General of the Regional Council, the local elected officials, the project manager of KZIN in Djibouti, as well as the Director General of CTID, that the day with the youth took place. At the end of the day, in order to bring young people to contribute to the preservation of peace, unity, and social cohesion, a training workshop was organized by the Regional Council to young ambassadors of peace. For the initiators of peace unity, the valorization of young national peace ambassadors and their function as agents of change within their neighborhoods. Shifting gears now, the NC organized an administrative workshop to a project both futuristic and present that makes a turning point within the administration towards a digital orientation of public services. This event was held in the presence of the authorities of the region of Tajarrah and Obokh, including the Prefect of Tajarrah, Hassan Davele, and Deputy Prefect of Obokh, A training workshop provided agents for 2 days in order to better prepare them for their daily administrative task of tomorrow. The transformation of the public administration advocated by the vision of the head of state is a major challenge. Thanks to the new technologies, the public administration will be closer, faster, and more efficient in order to satisfy the citizens. Show the different functionalities offered by the integrated systems of the prefecture to show the different functionalities in order to translate what has been transmitted to them in the field in an efficient way. The young nuggets of the training center of the Republican Guard, who valiantly represented the country and host high the colors of our dear country at the World Championship held in France, returned this morning to the capital. They came back victorious from this trip. Their main mission was to bring back trophies. It is now done because in addition to bringing back trophies, some of them had the right to personal distinctions. It is the Vice President of the Federation of Djibouti, Mr. Mohamed Yassine, accompanied by parents as well as senior officials of the prestigious institution of the Republican Guard, who welcomed them with the honors they deserved at the international airport of Humbuli.
waxayna cod buuxa iyo dareen cugan oo cuddoon rag iyo dumar ku cabireen inaanay ka caajisayn xilka qaranku u cayimay ismaaciil ciil tiro jabuuti ciyaarihii cirka gaarsiisayo adduunka la cajabe hajira oo hajira cimriga hajiro caafimaad kuwaan
Well, brothers, our beloved viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.